All right, this lesson is going to be on circumference and area in circles. So let's get started. Circumference and area are both about circles, but they're about different things. Circumference is the distance or length around the circle. Area is the space inside the circle. Those are really different things. One is a length, one is a space, which we call area, that covers that space, okay? So we need to be able to know the difference of these, especially when we're dealing with real life situations. So for example, here's a garden. I could have two different kinds of questions with this. I could say, how many bricks do I need to go around the edge of my garden? Or I could say, I need to cover my garden with some ground cover to keep the ground moist, like some wood chips or something like that. So if I need to know how much ground cover I need, that is a different question than how many bricks I need to go around the edge of the garden. So the question is this a circumference problem or an area problem? We're going to come back to this. Let's do some basic questions. So circumference, which we call C, it has a formula of 2 pi r. Well, we're going to leave things in terms of pi. So what I'd like you to do is I want you to think of it as 2 times the radius with a pi on the end of it. And what's going to do is going to do two things. One, it's going to make the math easier to do. And two, you're not going to round your answers. You're going to have exact, precise answers that are not rounded. They're going to be incomplete because the pi has not been multiplied in, but that's okay. We would rather have exact answers that are not rounded than to have rounded decimals for this chapter. So for this problem, circumference equals 2 times 4 times pi, or 8 pi inches. In this problem, we're going to talk about area. Area is pi r squared. Another way I could write this is area is the radius squared with a pi on the end, because we're going to learn things in terms of pi. So area in this problem is 7 squared with a pi on the end, or 49 pi inches squared. Here's another problem. Let's say I ask you to find the circumference of this, and I give you the diameter, and the diameter is 12 inches. Well, the circumference formula is 2r pi. But I didn't give you the radius, I gave you the diameter. So what you need to do is you need to figure out what the radius is. Well, the radius is half the diameter, so that's 6. So now I can take that number and I can do 2 times 6 pi, or 12 pi inches. That is the circumference. Do you notice anything interesting about this? Do you notice that the diameter is 12 and our answer is 12 pi? Why do you think that is? Well, the radius is half the diameter. 2r is the diameter. So another way to write this formula, it's the diameter times pi. So that is another option for you as you're working through these problems. Here we got a problem. I gave you the circumference is 28 pi feet. I would like to know, what is the radius? Well, it's the same exact setup as before. Circumference equals 2r pi. But in this case, you know what the circumference is. So I'm going to replace the c with 28 pi. And I'm going to solve for the radius. I'm going to cancel out the pi. So I have 28 equals 2r. I'm going to divide by 2. And I get 14 equals r. Last problem. Here we have the area, 144 pi. Area formula equals pi r squared, but that also equals 144 pi. That is your math problem. We need to solve that math problem. So if I cancel out the pi's, I got r squared equals 144. If I square root r, and I square root 144, r is 12 inches. So let's think back on that. So we've got these area problems, which is telling us the space. And we've got circumference problems, which is telling us the distance all the way around. So looking back at that garden problem, I've given you time to think about it. If I ask you how many bricks I've got to go around the edge, that's a circumference problem. If I ask you how much ground cover it is to cover the space inside of the garden, that's an area problem. Thanks for watching. See you later.